On a long car ride or while pulling an all-nighter, few snacks hit like a good package of beef jerky. The tough, salty, sometimes spicy meat seems to last forever and never loses its kick. Once a necessity for our pioneer ancestors traveling across a tumultuous country, beef jerky remains a time-honored treat for anyone craving meat but not willing to cook it. So how did it become the go-to snack of road trips throughout history? Well, today we're answering, how long does beef jerky really stay good? But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel. Then leave a comment to let us know what other snacks you bring with you on a long drive. For now, no refrigeration is needed. Beef jerky isn't just a quick impulse buy at the gas station that can satisfy your snacking urge during long car trips. When you eat beef jerky, you're participating in a grand tradition dating back thousands of years. Preserved meat was found in tombs dating back to ancient Egypt, where mass amounts of meat were sliced and dried, possibly by the sun or small fires. Ancient Romans preferred a spicier option with their spin on jerky called coppietta. This dried meat stick contained horse or donkey meats, although it was also made of sheep and goat as time went on. The meat was seasoned with salt, fennel, and red pepper flakes and dried in pairs for 60 days. Nothing like 2-month-old donkey meat to get the energy up. Ethiopian tribes of yesteryear developed quanta, and the West African version of jerky was called kilishi. But it seems that the trend of dried beef strips really picked up in the Andes Mountains around 1550, where the Inca Empire used alpaca and llama meat that was cut and pounded, deboned, and dried, which they called charqui. Spanish conquistadors arrived and adopted the practice of drying meat into what they decided to call charqui, meaning dried meat. Over time, the colloquial pronunciation evolved from charqui to simply jerky. Native Americans would go on to perfect meat drying techniques as they made jerky from buffalo, deer, and other game. These methods for drying and storing small strips of meat were especially popular for early explorers and pioneers heading west during America's colonization. The portability of such small pieces of meat paired with a shelf life that was maintained without refrigeration made beef jerky the ultimate survival food. Nowadays, beef jerky is one of the most common treats on the shelves of quite possibly every convenience store in America, boasting flavors our ancestors couldn't dream of. So, how long can beef jerky actually last? Back in the olden days of jerky, meat would be preserved in cool, dry areas or primitive refrigeration rooms, which would keep them good for up to a year. Today, beef jerky is made with preservatives, stored in airtight, nitrogen-flushed packaging, and often includes oxygen absorbers to prevent spoilage. That means, realistically, one could keep unopened jerky fresh for up to a year at room temperature, or in the refrigerator, and can gain another year if the jerky is frozen. Though, be warned, freezing jerky can remove much of the texture and flavor. Once opened, you've got about 3 days at room temperature to eat your jerky before it becomes suspect. Refrigerating buys you about a week or 2 weeks if it's in a sealed container. The biggest killer of jerky freshness is moisture, which, along with air exposure, can cause mold to grow, rancid fat, or unpleasant texture changes. You might also notice jerky left out for more than the intended period gains the amazing power to change color or grow fuzzy white and mold spots. So basically, if you're looking to snap into your Slim Jim, best to do it as early as possible. As the 20th century rolled around and cross-country travel became less of a life-and-death situation and more of a casual experience, beef jerky eased its way nicely into the snack market. In 1918, a man named Constantino Oberto arrived in America with a few recipes in his pocket and a dream. Oberto began making and selling beef jerky in Seattle, Washington, delivering the food himself on his bicycle after school. His small operation eventually took on a life of its own, becoming Oberto Snacks Incorporated and one of the first dedicated beef jerky companies in the United States. And they're still around today. You may have eaten some. Beef jerky's popularity only went up from there, with People's Choice Beef Jerky opening their doors in 1929, Old Trapper getting into business 40 years later in 1969, and Jack Link's getting their start around 1986. Sasquatch wouldn't join the team until 2006. but he was presumably consulting at the time. But all these companies who specialized in jerky strips were often left out to dry when compared to the most popular meat snack ever to grace the jerky scene. In Philadelphia in the 1940s, a man named Adolph Levi's stumbled upon a creation that would change the snacking world forever. And despite what you're thinking, it wasn't beef jeans. For the 1920s, Levi's dabbled in the pickling market, using ingredients like pig's feet and vegetables and selling his pickled treats to shops and taverns around the city. Levi's had the idea idea to put a little bit of vinegar into a jar and fill them with beef and mechanically separated chicken. After seeing the popularity of pepperoni snacks, Levi's developed a 3-month curing process that set his dried meats aside from the rest. He called this invention Penrose, a moniker which did not stick around for long once somebody realized that a much better name for this product was Slim Jim. It's not clear how you get to Slim Jim from Penrose, except that they both sound like detectives. By the 1950s, Slim Jims were packaged in cellophane wrappers and sold in Pennsylvania and the Northeast U.S. for 10 cents as an easy and ready-to-eat spiced sausage snack. As the interstate highway system expanded in the 1960s, more folks were getting into the road trip culture. This proved very profitable for Slim Jims, as they were favorites among travelers hitting up gas stations and convenience stores. General Mills bought up Slim Jims in 1967 and skyrocketed to popularity in 1993 after partnering with wrestler the Macho Man Randy Savage, making him the boisterous Slim Jim spokesperson until the year 2000. Today, beef jerky is as popular as ever, remaining a must-have snack for hikers, campers, and especially for the survivalist and doomsday prepper crowd, who value the long shelf life that comes with being vacuum-sealed in a cellophane wrapper. While beef jerky seems like an indestructible snack, one resistant to both time and bacteria, there have been several instances where it was just not safe to eat certain types of jerky. In 2006, for instance, Michigan-based Mirab USA Inc. were forced to recall more than 11 tons of beef jerky after discovering that the meat was contaminated with a veterinary drug called doramectin. The drug is meant to treat parasites in cattle and requires a 35-day withdrawal period before sending the cattle off to be made into food. Obviously, somebody was asleep at the switch because the drug was found in several thousand pounds of their jerky, though anybody unlucky enough to eat any of that jerky probably enjoyed a renewed resistance to parasites. In Utah in 2014, Prime Snacks Incorporated had to recall multiple flavors of beef jerky because they failed to disclose on their labels that the product contained soy lecithin, which could affect those with an allergy to the additive. Just last year, Hickory Hollow Jerky was found to be selling beef jerky products with the USDA mark of inspection on them, despite pulling out of the inspection program previously. 6,229 pounds of jerky were recalled and forced to update their label to tell the truth. Over 15,000 pounds of beef jerky and beef snack sticks were recalled back in June of 2025 by Springville Meat and Cold Storage Company Incorporated. The Worcestershire sauce that the company used to season their jerky updated the recipe to include anchovies, something that was not reflected on the beef jerky label. Nothing worse than unexpected anchovies. Additional recalls were initiated due to various issues in many beef jerky production lines, including metal pieces found in Chomp's original beef sticks and rodent evidence found in the packaging of York's specialty meats. But beyond safety or manufacturing issues, it seems like the remaining criticism of beef jerky comes from that time-honored complaint that goes hand in hand with all high-sodium snacks of elevated blood pressure and an increase of heart disease risk. Snap into a Slim Jim responsibly. Despite health concerns over salted meats in general or unexpected prizes found in your beef jerky packaging, beef jerky sales continue to rise with no indication of slowing down. In 2024, sales of jerky snacks in the United States rose to $3.29 billion, an increase of over 10% in just a year. This is largely due to a growing interest in portable protein sources and the popularity of salty and spicy snacks in general, making dried meat snacks the fastest growing category in the snack food market today. Most mass-produced turkey today is made from lean cuts of meat to promote longer shelf stability and often seasoned with ingredients like garlic, brown sugar, smoke, or soy. Brands like Buc-ee's and Wild Bill's beef jerky rank among the most popular among the internet jerky crowd, and it probably won't be long before making your own jerky becomes a cooking trend on social media. Dried beef is pretty grammable. Just maybe don't search for that exact phrase. So what do you think? What's the longest you've ever kept beef jerky? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, check out some of these other weird history food videos.